Marvel's Wolverine from Insomniac Games has sparked a huge debate across the social media platforms. And the biggest question right now is not simple but controversial. Will the blood and glory and the brutal violence in games actually become a problem on YouTube? Because it depends on how Insomniac handles it. It could change how the game is streamed, shared, and even talked about online. Let's break it down. Insomniac Games has one of the most impressive track records in modern game. If you guys do know, from Spider-Man, Miles Morales, Ratchet and Clank, there are critically acclaimed, massive successful games that were all rated teen and E for everyone. But Wolverine is different, and everyone knew from the jump. When the reveal trailer dropped, the internet has collectively lost its mind, not just because Logan is finally getting a serious game treatment, because of the tone of the darkness of this game. It's going to be dark, gritty, and bloody. The bar scene showing Wolverine absolutely wrecking people. It was really clear that Insomniac wasn't making a kid-friendly superhero title compared to the other superhero titles like Miles Morales and Spider-Man. Now, this game is expected to be rated M. And if you guys do know, I think this might be the first rated M title for Insomniac in years. I have to look back at the history of their gaming titles that they made over the years, but most of their games are rated E or rated teen for everyone. And this is going to be highly discussed of how this game is going to be streamed and monetized online. So here are some complexities that might be a little bit difficult for content creators. YouTube policies around violent content do not just affect whether you can upload the video, they can affect whether you can make money from it, whether it gets recommended or whether it's going to even get seen. And for the game to build around a character that is entirely identified stabbing people with metal claws, that is a massive issue on content creators' parts. Let's talk about YouTube's actual policies, because I feel like a lot of people throw about demonetizing without really understanding the rules. YouTube breaks violent content into few brackets, if you guys got to understand. Of course, me as a small content creator, there are 3 tiers. There are green, yellow, and red. And we're going to go over where Marvel's Wolverine might fall under, and I feel like might fall under the yellow. The green tier is like tier 1, which is clearly like, you know, Astrobot, Mario Kart, those type of things, and Spider-Man, Ratchet and Clank. They will fall in tier 1. Yeah, they might have like minor cartoonish violence, but it's not that violent on YouTube, and YouTube will give you the green okay. Now, where I fall under will be tier 2, which would be yellow, which Marvel's Wolverine will fall under because of my past experience of covering just a small portion of Marvel's Wolverine, what that got announced, I think in 2025 or 2024, where Marvel's Wolverine got announced, and I fall under the tier 2. Tier 2 is yellow. The violence is more realistic, more intense, more graphics, but it stops short of that glorious, glorifying real details of, you know, that glory, bloody type brutal killings. That is the rated M games. That is like Call of Duty, God of War, Last of Us, or any rated M game will fall under tier yellow. The only thing with tier yellow is going to be like people who are big time content creators that might affect their CPMs, but not really affected in a big way, because if they have like a really standard community, like 100,000 to 1 million followers, their CPMs are going to be still high because they're going to have a really small community that is still going to support them, and they're going to notify their community if they need to edit that particular video or cut out that video because of YouTube's policy. So their ad-friendly placement might be kind of low because of the violent nature of those particular games. I don't know why, but that's just how the standard is. And there is tier 3, which is red, meaning very violent graphic things that don't need to be on YouTube. But we understand YouTube, you still bypass those type of videos, and you still kind of like make those videos appear on people's social media platform. They say they're trying to protect children, but at the same time, do anybody really protect kids? Like, really, we got to have that serious question. Now, like I mentioned, where Wolverine will fall, it will fall in tier 2 in the yellow system. So everybody will be fine. It's just that their CPM might drop. They might make less money, but I've been watching a lot of content creators who fall under that category, and they still make their money off their video, so they'd be just fine. But you might have some issues in between to edit here and make some adjustments. Now, there's other ways that Insomniac Games or any rated M games in the future can handle this. Most developers have kind of put it in their settings like streamer modes. If you guys do know, streamer modes is something where there is a copyrighted music in that, you know, particular video game, and you don't want the person who's playing the game, like your favorite, you know, content creator or whoever, post that game and then there is a copyright issue. Let's just use a prime example, 007's First Light. The first intro of that video game in particular, the theme song, because of the artist, I had to turn off my stream real quick. I had to mute it real quick. And even when I muted so fast and quick, I still got a copyright from that particular, just maybe like a 5-second, 1-second video of that. So there are settings that might be useful. I know Ghost of Yote had a setting where, because that's another example, I forgot about that game. That's another example where violence was very brutal. Limbs were coming off and everything like that. And they had a setting where you have a part where it says, you know, turn on this type of setting to, you know, block out blood and gore. And they had that in their settings. So there are ways that you can protect your content creators on this platform, especially on YouTube. Oh my God. YouTube got so many restrictions when it comes to this stuff. There are settings that the developers can turn on to help, you know, one of your content creators, including myself, turn that setting on, and it can actually cut down some of the generally brutal moments and the violence and all that stuff for your content creator to post their videos. Because trust me, Marvel Wolverine is like one of the anticipating games right now of 2026, along with GTA 6. Can't forget that either. So those are a lot of anticipating games that are going to be having some violence and some gore in it. And hopefully, I don't know how GTA 6 is going to work, because they have, you know, other violence and other things onto that game too that might be not useful or might not be child friendly on YouTube. So there are some, you know, some barriers that most of these developers put in their settings to help content creators and actually help promote their game onto these social media platforms. Now, I know Twitch don't really have that type of setting, so you can post whatever you want on Twitch. When it comes to TikTok, if you want to stream on TikTok, TikTok has a more restrictive mode compared to YouTube. Their restriction is bad. You can't cuss, you can't do this, you can't show violence on TikTok, and people said streaming on that platform is a nightmare. If you're gonna stream on TikTok, you have to stream games that are like kid friendly. You can't stream Wolverine or Call of Duty on TikTok, because they will literally cut your stream off. They will kind of like give you a notification, like a final warning or something like that they give you. And streaming on TikTok is a nightmare. Kick, whatever, you know, Kick shows a lot of things, so they don't really care. But whatever streaming platform you have on, I would say see what their setting is, see what their policy is when it comes to these type of games, and then go on from there. But other than that, there are been developers who have settings where you can turn off the blood and the gore in their particular video games, and of course turn off their copyright music. So that's a good part when it comes to these developers. They understand that content creators go through hell when it comes to posting these contents on, especially on YouTube. For content creators, here are some 3 things that you can do to help prevent you, you know, having this type of issue where you get demonetized, you get that yellow signal. We already talked about that some of the developers and some gaming studios do have streamer modes and toggles that will toggle the glory for you to turn that off and make it more friendly. The blood would turn black, I believe, and the lens won't come off as easy. So that is a good thing that some developers are getting into. One thing you want to do, if you do want to show the gloriness and you do want to show, you know, what the combat style is like, you can edit strategically. You don't have to show every kill graphics detail. You can cut away, use reaction shots like audio to do the work. You can cover Wolverine's brutal honesty without showing every wound in the close-up. You can kind of like, you can blur it out. I see some people on Twitter when they kind of like post like shorts like of movies or whatever, and they're showing like some blood scenes. They kind of do like a black and white of those areas of the blood shots and blur that part out. You can do that. You can build a duel up strategy. Some, like we just mentioned, you can Some content creators, they have a YouTube version, which is like less edited version, and then they have Patreons. Now, if you want to do a membership platform, that is up to you. Patreon is like a safe way to show all the brilliantness and content of everything, and you want to go in more in depth to talk about something that you can't talk about on YouTube, and you want to give it more full info in depth. You can do that if you want to. If you have a really solid community that is willing to pay for subscription fees, you can go right ahead and do that, but that is really up to you. And then, of course, there is the disclaimers. Most YouTube guidelines suggest that the context matter. A video that clearly established that this is a mature rated game, play as intended. Now, if like for me, when I stream on Twitch let me know or ask me, is this video or the stream for mature audience? And I will say, yes, it's for mature audience. Or they will tell you, is it not for mature audience? You will say no, and they will distribute it to the better audience that actually, fit that. You can do that on YouTube. You can start a disclaimer on any video that you're going to be posting on YouTube. You can say this is a disclaimer of, but YouTube already has that for content creators. There's many questions that they ask you. Is this video meant for kids? And the first question that you should always click if you're a content creator is no. Do not click yes, this is for mature audience, because it's going to go to everybody, and then YouTube's going to notice that your video is not for mature audience, and they might demonetize your channel, and they might shadow ban your channel. So anytime you want to start a content on YouTube, you want to start a YouTube channel, and you see that question, you click no. Okay, click no, and it will save you time and it will save you effort. So YouTube does have type of restrictions and type of policies and type of settings when you upload the videos, and I still don't understand why they make it different for content creators. You ask us way ahead of time, is this meant for children? And we click no, it's not meant for kids, and you still restrict your biggest content creators for just a 1-second video that shows a clip of a finger going off. So I don't know why YouTube does that and still demonetize and still limit the ad on that particular video. We already asked that in the settings, so why make it difficult for content creators? But now I want to hear from you. Do you think Marvel's Wolverine can run into problems on YouTube because of its violence and gore? Or do you think creators will find a way, just like any other mature games that they put out in the last couple of years? And I do believe so. I do believe that they will find another way around. Drop your thoughts in the comment down below. I will read every comment, and some of the best takes might end up on the next video feature. If you do enjoy these deep dives and want more gaming news, industry discussions, and career-focused content, make sure you subscribe, turn on the notifications so you don't miss the next upload. Thanks for watching, and remember, in gaming, the biggest stories aren't always what happens on screen. Sometimes it happens after the game is released.